Another segment of Masterminds Monday, where we offer business advice, hands-on meditation exercises, and effective rituals for the proper generation of wealth. I am your host, Phylecia Tarael-ANU, and we are here with our other host, Damon Rawls.
Welcome.
Peace, everyone. So today we kind of wanted to zone in on, the premise of our show and talk about the spirit of money, which, again, our title is Owo, the spirit of money. And I was kind of excited about doing the show. I thought it was a good topic because a lot of people seem to think that a relationship between money and spirituality can't exist. And I shared with you, Brother Damon, when I was promoting our last show with Sister Craftswoman, a couple weeks ago. And in a Facebook group, someone commented and they said, money and spirituality, ? So I didn't answer it because I know they didn't listen or watch the video. I just posted it, so I knew it was one of those Facebook things. But it was more so of a comment. But it made me just think about how it's very interesting how we tend to think, or how people tend to think about money. While people associate it with evil, or, it shouldn't be mixed with spiritual matters. I guess this kind of was the mindset that guy who commented. That's what I at least felt that he was saying. I've even had friends that are Christians who, would have difficult times financially, but felt they couldn't ask for stuff like money or in their prayers, or even church, is viewed negatively because they ask for money. Meanwhile, it's a huge temple and they have lights and services, but they think that they shouldn't ask for money. And in my own experience, I see it with Chief, we talked about this, where it's people that'll come for life-saving information. They have terrible relationships with their children or their family. They can't find a mate or whatever, and they come to a priest to get this healing and these effective services, and they feel that it should be free because it's spiritual, Meanwhile, he has a home, car, bills, just like everybody else. But the mindset, I guess, people have is that, it's spiritual, so it should be free. So that's just, again, I feel like it relates to the culture that we live in, where everything is viewed kind of separately or isolated, and not from a holistic perspective, even from money to education to our health. And I've noticed that it has a lot of shortcomings. So, like, for instance, you go to the doctors, like I wear glasses, so my vision is blurry, and they prescribe glasses, but I'm learning, I'm doing all this research. And when you talk to holistic doctors, it's like, well, the root may be a damaged liver or a poor diet. That will fix the glasses. Mm-hmm. But since the doctor is saying, just treat it with glasses, it's very isolated, so there's no connection, and true healing can't occur. And my vision won't be restored unless I do, the liver treatment or something. So that's the same thing with money. I've learned in that if you have an isolated view of money, or a fearful view of money, especially a negative perception, to me, I feel like you'll never manifest the money or the wealth in your life that you desire, just because of that mindset that you have.
Yeah, that's true. You just touched on something I want to jump on real quick. You said the root. When you go to the eye doctor talks about the root cause of your eye problem is not your eyes. It is, your diet, a liver, or something other than the outward manifestation of the pain that you're feeling, whatever. So if you think about it in the money terms, think about where we get the idea of money from. What is supposed to be spent on money. And it comes from some, if we get to the root cause, it comes from some false place. And what I mean by that, what makes me think about that is you think about when people say, well, she shouldn't charge for healing. Where did that come from? Or if somebody writes a book, oh no, the book should be free. Information should be free. But people don't live free. Where did this idea come from? where did this ridiculous idea come from? You know what I mean? So, just something that made me think about that.
Yeah, exactly, because I know we were touching on that last time we spoke. And I don't know, I think it's the culture is a big thing, and even zoning in more so into the family structure. I think, you know, our environments, how we grow up or how we perceive things is all different, you know, per family, I would say. But I think that that's a major effect on your view of money. But it's a culture thing, I feel like, because when you look at these people who think certain things, they won't spend a lot of money on certain things. Which, you know, like she teaches, you can see how a culture is based on what they spend their money on. So you'll see people that will spend money on things they can't afford, you know, like that same person who won't want to pay for that ritual or those services to get a mate or attract the person that they want to, and it works. But they'll rather go pay $200 for a pair of jeans or bottle service at a club or something like that to attract a mate that way. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the priorities are kind of in the wrong place. You know, it's like they want the stuff if it works, but they rather spend the money on other things that, you know, I guess they still is worth it. But I think it's just a value because essentially when you look at the core of money, it just only has the value that we give it, you know, the physical dollar bill. And I guess it's just people's values are in different places, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point because everybody, I learned this a long time ago. You know, people may say, oh, well, that guy's stingy or that girl is stingy and they don't spend money. Everybody has a weakness or has a thing that they spend money on. You know what I mean? Like yours may be books. So where you'll go and spend $200 on a book, somebody might say, $200 on a book? That's ridiculous. But that book changes your life. You know, where they may say, I'll spend $200 on liquor. We all have our priorities, right? I mean,
in our vices, exactly.
Yeah, and some of those priorities are screwed up. Where somebody may say, well, I'll spend my money on religious stuff. You know, I tithe. And another person may say, well, I don't believe in that. I don't do that. That's not a part of my world. So I think I know priorities have a lot to do with it. And he's right. You could tell the priorities of people when music and entertainment and those things are more important than real, tangible, substantive items.
I think that's the whole key to it, like the perception of money. And like getting to the spiritual part of it and like how you attract more of it. Again, it's just going back to that statement where I said I find it interesting how people think about money. And that will reflect how it looks in your life, pretty much. Basically, it all comes from the mind, like how we think about money. So I recall Chief did a show on this exactly. It's called Financial Currency and how it's related to our spiritual currency. And he spoke about the law of mentalism. And that's basically what it is. It was the law of mentalism, which is one of the 7 Hermetic laws. I believe he was going to do a series on that a while ago. That was a while ago. But it was teaching you how to generate wealth. And again, it spoke about the law of attraction, which is linked to the law of mentalism, where it's basically teaching you that the things that you think about are the things that will come into your life experience. So basically, you're creating your experience as it's happening. You know, similar to Inception, that's one of my favorite movies, too. I have a lot of favorite movies. But Inception I really liked because I kept watching it like it was an assignment. You know, I just found it really interesting because it was like, that stuff is real, you know. And, you know, when he was breaking down the dream state to that architect, I forgot her name, Ariana or something, the girl from Juno, the young lady who was the architect. He was trying to teach her, he was going through a workshop and teaching her about the dream state. She didn't even realize she was in a dream when he was teaching her. But what he said was that we create and perceive our world simultaneously. You know, it's the same exact thing pretty much Keith had explained in that show, and how the mind does it so well that we don't even know what's happening. So you think this is all just happening, like, you know, haphazardly, but it's consciously, you are consciously creating that. And then, you know, so the point is like to understand you have to be aware of what you are creating, because you know, and consciously create your reality, similar to Inception, except that, you know, they were manipulating people's reality because they knew how to tap into that flow. And again, money is a flow. It's that currency. And currency is literally a flow that it circulates, and money literally circulates. And, you know, they knew how to tap into that so they could change it and do whatever they wanted to a subject that, you know, whoever they were trying to put that idea into, that inception. But it was all birthed through the mind, you know. So I was finding that link really interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. You said perception. Like, okay, so I'm going to give you, I'm going to put you through an exercise that I do with my clients. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
So,
I think.
This is the first time, and I did not warn her, people. So she doesn't know what's happening.
No, you did not.
So,
I don't.
Yes, and I'm sorry for that. So, if it starts to rain where you are right now, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I'm thinking a little different. I kind of like rain. So it's not bad or good. Yeah.
Okay. It's not bad or good. Good. Mm-hmm. If you're a farmer and it starts to rain, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good thing.
It's a good thing to a certain point, unless it overrains and you have a drought. I mean, not a drought, but a flood.
Yeah, flooding, yeah.
The reality is that it's just rain. It just is. It has no position. It just is. You gave it the position, whether it was good or bad. You did it. Not the thing itself. You did. So it's all about your perception. It's all about you. If you perceive it as good, it's a good thing. You perceive it as bad, oh God, it's raining today, I can't go outside, it's a horrible day. That's all on you. So just a little exercise on perception.
Absolutely. So would you then say that money is just money in terms of how you should look at it? And by that I mean, some people have a lot of emotional attachments or connections with money, which I think can also affect how it manifests or expresses itself in their life. For instance, if you always fear you don't have enough money, then most of the times you don't have enough money. You know, because you have that deficit mindset. And again, anytime you have fear, I've learned, again, through spiritual training, he teaches so much about the ego. And anytime fear is present, that means the ego is present. And that ego, again, it doesn't like to change. I forgot the name of this movie. It's another good one where it was all about ego, but it was subtle. And when the guy was starting to change a little bit, he was having this conversation with himself, but the ego was so scared to die and go away, because as he became less, he didn't need the ego so much, he was tapping more into his spiritual side, the ego was kind of deflating, and that was scary. So it's a similar thing where the ego, when it's in that state of fear, it will create those experiences so that everything stays the same. Okay, you think that you don't ever have enough money. Perfect. So we won't ever have enough money. So even if you get some money, you won't sustain it, because whatever your mind, where the mind goes, the body follows. So you are going to create these circumstances and these situations where you're going to keep creating a situation where you don't have enough money. And we know so many people like that, where they just never have any money.
Yeah, and the way we,
Like,
and it's funny, it's but you end up, you said it, it's the emotion behind it. And if the emotion behind something, as we know, energy and motion. So energy is magnetized, right? So if you hate something or you fear something, fear is an emotion, and fear is a strong emotion. So you rev up this fear emotion. I never have, I don't have, I'm scared, how am I going to pay my bills? And you can feel it, and it's crystallizing. That's the reality because you've charged up the emotional state around that thing. And so what happens is that is drawn to you because you put the emotional energy behind it. And vice versa.
Absolutely.
It's vice versa. You know, you can do it the opposite. It's just people are not taught the opposite. We're taught to focus on what we fear. We're always in a deficit model. And that deficit model is always looking at what you don't have. And instead of looking at what you do have and the good things. I remember in a reading a couple of years ago with Chief, and he said, we were discussing that deficit model for me personally. And he said, if you only have a fish sandwich to eat, then enjoy that fish sandwich as though it's the best fish sandwich in the world. Put some hot sauce on it. Just make it great. I mean, you know what I mean? And when you break that down, though, it's simple, but when you break it down, what are you doing by making it the best? You're charging that emotional state around it. So there's this level of fulfillment, this level of, I have a lot. I mean, I'm eating, for God's sake. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not starving. It's a good thing, you know, but what will somebody do normally is, man, all I got is this fish sandwich. That's it. Sure wish I had some, whatever you eat with fish sandwiches. I mean, French fries, I don't know, whatever you eat. I don't eat fish sandwiches like that, but.
Oh, I do. You eat French fries.
you
eat French fries.
French fries, okay, French fries with your fish sandwich, so you eat your French fries and hot sauce. And I'm in the country, so they like white bread with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no white bread. No white bread. No bread.
That's a country thing. I don't eat white bread, but that's a country thing. Like, they give you white bread if they give you a piece of fish. So.
I got you. But, like you said, I feel like that I was one of those people, too, you know, where before I used to operate from that deficit mindset when it came to money. I feel like after I graduated college, through like my first 2 jobs, maybe. Yeah, it was a time where I just felt like I never had any money. And I just had so many bills, you know, that whole thing, college loans, school loans. It just seemed like I couldn't get my head above water. And then, you know, living in the New York, Northeast, you know, New Jersey, New York area, it's really expensive. And, you know, you don't want to live in a bad neighborhood, so all the nice neighborhoods cost more money. So it just seemed like money was just like burning a hole in my pocket. Like I couldn't catch a break. And I don't know what happened. I feel like I know, you know, it's kind of like when you stop doing something, you don't know how it happened, but you know, you were making the changes, but you don't know what point or what triggered it. But I just noticed all of a sudden I never had to keep feeling this need that I didn't have enough money. Like I felt like all my needs were met. I had what I needed. I felt like I had enough money. You could always make more, but I felt like I was able to sustain myself and do what I wanted to do and save money. And I don't feel like it was because I got this job where I made all this extra money. I do honestly believe that it was a shift in my mindset, which then changed my behavior. because I just felt like, I don't know, it was just something I noticed that there's a certain mindset when it comes to money. People just blow their money to make themselves feel good. So I think maybe I was going through some healing processes where I didn't need to go shopping every day to make myself feel good or waste my money on, just because it's a week I go running errands from store to store like I used to do. I kind of stopped all that. It's like, okay, let me keep the money, use it for some more fruitful things. And that's how I look at money now. I like money. So I feel like I'm good at attracting it because of how I view it. I don't feel like it's a deficit. I feel like I have access to it, and I put things in a place to try and manifest, what I need. Even down to the dollar amount. It's like, okay, I need XYZ dollars. Okay, let me figure out how I'm going to get these dollars, and I'll put a plan in place. And then what I use the money for is very fruitful. So it's not like, oh, I need some new shoes. It's like, okay, I need this money to help build, fuel this project for my family. So it's kind of a shift, and I think things kind of open up in the universe for you once you make that mental shift.
See, that's beautiful that you said that. I think about this often. When I kind of change my money view, as Americans, we have this issue with money, right? Because it's never enough. But if you actually just break down your situation, how bad is your life? Most of us are overweight. Most of us eat when we want to. We go where we want to. More than not, the only time that we have a problem with money is when we want something else more than what we have. And that's, we're sitting in a house like, I need a bigger house. I need a bigger house. Well, you're already in a house. Is the house not adequate? Or, oh man, I want a big screen TV. Man, this TV is too small. I can't see the game. Or I want more clothes. We create these problems for ourselves. And most of the time, it's stuff that we already have. If you think about it like this, we go shopping in the United States, in most of the developed countries. We get up and we go, I don't have a reason to spend money today, but I'm just going to go spend some for no reason whatsoever. So shopping doesn't happen around the world. It's people who can't go out and spend, $50, $100, just blow it just because they feel like it. It's a deep concept when you think about the rest of the world and how they live. We don't have any problems. So when you kind of change your mind frame around that and money, and it's like, wait a minute, it's all good. Everything I have is fine. I got a vehicle. I go to and fro. I eat where I want to. I'm chilling at the crib, talking on a cell phone. If I don't feel like cooking tonight, I'll just order some food. We live in a lap of luxury, but we don't see it that way because we want to go out and buy a new shirt, a new blouse, some sunglasses, and then we get upset with ourselves because, I wanted the $500 sunglasses. Man, I'm broke. I can't afford these $500 sunglasses. And when you look at it from that point of view, when really, sunglasses, what's good, hey, go buy $20, $30 pair of sunglasses if that's what you need. But is it something we need? And when we get out of that level of consumerism, always consuming, then, because you said it, I stopped wanting to go out and, buy stuff, etc. That's that consumerism. Once you get past the consumerism part, then you're like, man, I'm good. You look around the house, you're like, I'm good. Now, you can replenish things that, break, die, etc., but for the most part, you're good. or we're good rather. So it's something I think about a lot. And I when I catch myself buying too much or like shopping all the time, I have to catch myself and go, man, wait a minute. We're just blowing money. We're in the consumer phase. And you're right. You got to look at your money and say, what can I do with this money to grow my family enterprise or save for this next business project or, you know what I mean, or buy a solar panel. I'm on my solar battery. I'm on my solar batteries now.
Exactly. Spiritual activism. Well, you know what? Before we take a break, I just want to make a quick announcement. You made me think of something that I was thinking about a few days yesterday. Another tip I would suggest is to turn off your television because that fuels that consumerism. That's what the TV's for. So commercials got the cars, the houses, all the TV shows is like, you know, all these beautiful people with these expensive clothes, and you just feel like a piece of crap if you can't get these things. And you're comparing yourself to people who aren't on the same level and their lives are completely different. But that's that power of that imagery, which kind of makes you think, okay, now I got to go buy this so I can look good. You know, for example, I was on, like, I don't watch TV that much. I have like watch, you know, videos and documentaries and all that stuff, YouTube, all that stuff, or DVDs. But before, I noticed the shift. So I'm sitting here working at my table and my desk, and I don't know what happened. I was on Facebook or something, and I saw a clip of, what's the taste? Serena Williams, and I clicked on it just because it was saying like who she was hanging out with on the beach or whatever. And then when you clicked on that, it shows you all these other people at the beach. And one was Beyonce. And it was like, okay, so Beyonce's not pregnant. Let's see why. And I live under a rock, so this was some rare thing that I was doing. I'm feeling real good about myself. And I click on Beyonce, and then I look at all her pictures, and then all of a sudden I'm starting to feel like bad. I'm like, why do I feel like I don't look right, or I don't have the body that she has? And it's like the power of that imagery is crazy. Because I was really, and even in the article, it was like, warning, you may have life envy, you may have money envy, body envy if you watch this, because it was just this imagery of she's perfect and she has this perfect life and she's got a perfect body. But I was feeling really good, and minutes later I was thinking like, oh, wait, I need a body like that. Oh, wait, I need to have a yacht, you know? It's like, wait, I had to like put the brakes and come back, bring myself back in. But it just made me think like, wow, if people watch this stuff every single day, the media, the commercials, the news, you're just pumped with all this stuff. So it's the society creates this consumer, you know. So if you don't have the mental capacity to kind of guard yourself from it, like you're kind of helpless because it's all around you. You're driving, you got billboards, especially in New York where we are, it's billboards everywhere. So you know, you walk down the street in the city, you got all these billboards telling you to buy. You need to look like this and be like this. And if you don't, then there's something wrong with you, you know. So I think that's something else people need to take into consideration. So I would suggest, you know, limit your exposure to these things. Cut the TV off and listen to a radio. Listen to our Block Talk show. Or, you know, and that is more, you know, like medicinal for your mind, your body, and your spirit, instead of doing just watching Housewives and all that stuff.
I think you're perfectly correct. If they listen to the blog, our show, then everything will work itself out. So, so there you go, people.
Or any of our shows on the network, you know.
Any of our shows, which the New Spiritual Order is putting out plenty of shows. A lot of shows.
Exactly.
Underground Thursday.
I'm sorry to cut you off. But speaking of which, I wanted to make a quick announcement for, again, Honor Nation, just to give you a heads up again. Our cross-country self-actualization tour is back on the East Coast. So again, our next event will be next weekend at Pagan Pride Festival, NYC. So again, we don't have the exact times. I don't know why they are taking forever to give us a time when he'll be speaking. but we just allotted from 10 to 5 is the whole time of the event. So again, stay posted. In the next few days, I should hear something back, and we can let you know exactly when he'll be speaking. This is a free event, so definitely come out. And in December, we will be at Black and Nobel. I know that's a few months away, but it comes quickly. So definitely go to www.taduluhouse.org to get the full details. It's an event listing with details right there. Or you can go to enlightenmentandtransformation.com to get the details. And speaking of which, Damon, you mentioned that we have a lot of shows coming out. Chief Yuya has a new show that will be airing on High Frequency Network radio, which is produced by Yusuf L. So if you're familiar with our shows on Enlightenment Transformation, you know that Chief's been on his show a few times. I think we did one while we were on the tour. So, when we were there, they met in person and they were talking about doing a show. So it's actually going to happen on October 5th. So we're excited about that, and we'll be airing simultaneously. So stay tuned for the details on enlightenmentandtransformation.com. But it's going to air 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're on the West Coast, it'll be 8 to 10. And if you're on the East Coast, it'll be 11 to 1. And the title of this show will be Chief Speaks. So it's an opportunity for everyone that has all these questions to actually call in live to the show and ask Chief, for spiritual advice. It's not for readings. I'll repeat, it's not for readings. It's for spiritual guidance and advice. So, people email us all the time. Can you break down the meaning of my name? Can you break down this dream? Those questions you want to call into that show. And you can ask him. It's going to be a live show. So, again, go to enlightenmentandtransformation.com just to stay tuned and more details, calling numbers and all that good stuff. So coming back to our topic, I didn't mean to cut you off, Damon. But
you're good.
But I was just thinking that like you were saying too before I broke into the whole media thing, that it's a matter of knowing what you need, and that perception of wealth. Because again, we did another show on wealth, and wealth isn't always just money. So again, if you tap into that flow, again, money, the spirit of it is a flow, and it's literally currency. And if you tap into that with an open mind, the sky's the limit. So if wealth to you is that, okay, I have, 5 kids, 3 wives, 2 businesses, that can be your reality. Where somebody else, wealth is, I need $1 billion and, 1 wife, and 2 kids and 5 successful businesses across, the globe. That could be their reality. So it's based on your perception of wealth. But it all starts from the mind. So that's why I was trying to get back to like how your mind is essentially, it's a womb. All ideas are birthed from the mind. The ori is our head. That's where our soul resides. It holds our destiny, and the mind is that it creates that physical reality. So that's what you have to cultivate in order to cultivate the wealth that you want, you claim you want in your life. But you also have to be mindful of, again, like you were speaking to, your character. Because some people don't know what to do with money. It's just like, I just want it. So maybe you're not getting it because you might just blow it and be completely broke the next day. Like you've seen so many times in the headlines with these people who win the lottery. And it's like millions of dollars and they're broke like a year later. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So some people, they can't sustain it. So again, it's mind magic. It's you literally using your mind to create these things by focusing on what you want and not being closed-minded, and not looking at it like, so, again, it's a health deficit thing, like I want. But then again, if you don't know how to sustain it, like the people who win these lotteries, you won't have it. So again, it'll be that whole ego thing where it's just creating this pattern of you not having wealth or money in your life. But I think that's the whole basis of creation, is knowing that the mind is where you need to focus on opening so that you can tap into that flow. And again, it's not that intellectual mind, it's that spiritual, that creative, that soul realm where you can tap into that, where the sky's the limit. It can go as big as you want it to be. But, I think that's the key, because people always want like a quick fix pill, like, okay, what ritual and what bath do I need to take so I can make this money? And it's like, that's short term. You can get, okay, $1,000 if you do a bath or something like that, but what about real wealth? Like, again, Chief always teaches us that we should have more intellectual conversations with our spirit, and money is a spirit. Literally, his name is Owo. So if you want to have better understandings of like how to attract more wealth and abundance into your life, instead of going to Oshun and asking her to, hook you up with Tyrone, I don't know. How about ask her to teach you? I don't know, people. But you know what I'm saying? Like, people go to her just to give me a mate. Can you get me to be with, such and such? I just need love. But it's like, okay, go to her and ask her to teach you about the wisdom of attraction. That's a whole nother ballgame. Then you can really make some things happen, and probably way better than Tyrone. So it's the same thing. It's kind of like working with that spirit of money, but from a larger and more, like a wiser mindset, where it's like, okay, I can get more than just $50. The sky's the limit. So I think that's kind of key in opening up the doors of wealth. And again, knowing what you need it for. What do you want to do with it? Do you have a plan for it? Or if wealth is kids, are you preparing yourself for the kids? Or for a wife, or for a husband? If not, then you might not see it manifesting itself in your life. So, again, you can't be so upset about your circumstances, because you have to understand, again, like going back to inception, you are creating this reality that you live in. So you can't blame anyone, you can't blame your parents, you can't blame your child's father. It's you,
So,
wherever you are now, it's you.
Okay, so I got a question for you. So why do you think those people who sit at home and go, man, I was thinking about money, I was focused on money, and it just don't come? Or it doesn't come to me. What do you think that is? Like, why do you think the reason that is?
I still go back to
they was like, I was thinking positively about it.
But I think maybe they really weren't. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that I think it's how you go into it. Like any ritual, when you go into it, it will affect the outcome. So you can't really say, I did everything right when it didn't happen. So maybe somewhere under there, there was some fear that was like attached to you, like, oh my God, I really need to work if this doesn't work. I'm going to get kicked out of my house. I'm going to lose my job. Like, you can't go into it like that. Even if, like, the eviction notice is tomorrow, you got to go into it, like, fearless and knowing that whatever you're putting your hands to, whatever it's a ritual or you just want more money or whatever it is, that is going to be effective. Otherwise, it doesn't. We just put a video out, too, on why your prayers and rituals don't work. So definitely go to Fadul House to check that out on our Facebook. But Chief did a show on that, so that will give you more insight to it. But it's essentially how you go into it. Like, you can't have that fear attached to it or any type of doubt, because it will mess up the ritual if you go into it with that negative mindset. You got to be open up to it, and not have any expectations on what it's going to look like. You know what I'm saying? It's like, for instance, I did one, and I was just like, I don't think it's working. I have worked with Ogun, because he's a Risha who you can work with if you are dealing with business, starting your own business, looking for a new job, like Ogun's a Orisha who also works with that. So I was doing a lot of work with Ogun. I believe I was also putting money on my shrine, which is another thing you can do. Again, speak to it. Say, oh, whoa, multiply. How many times? So if it's a $10 bill, multiply 10 times. So if you need whatever, how much money you need. And I just didn't see it happening how I thought it was happening, because I'm not always, aware of certain things. I'm just thinking, oh, this is interesting. It's like, okay, wait a minute, you've been doing all this ritual work. So I was walking down the street, and I never find money. I believe I told you about this. And I found $60, clear as day, right in front of my feet on the sidewalk, where two people walked right by in front of me beforehand. So I'm like, how did they not see it? Because I was thinking, well, maybe this is their money. But I'm like, how could they not see it? It was clear as day in the middle of the street, or the sidewalk. I was like, wow, I just found $60. And then I believe I was finding I think I found $5 in my grass. Just little things. I just kept finding money here and there. And not that I needed $65, but I was just doing money rituals and money rituals for work and business to open up. And then I got a job offer around that time. It was a year or two ago. So yeah, things were opening up. And it was just oh, okay, it wasn't the exact job I had initially wanted, but this one opened up, and that was actually a better situation for me at that time. So sometimes it's kind of you be open. If you're open up to it, you'll get what you need, and it's not always what you want. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's part of it too. So having that open mindset, and of course, no negativity or fear attached to it when you do it, because it can get scary if you have a situation where you're going to get kicked out, and it's the due date or something is 2 days, and you're trying to do this ritual the day before. You're going to be scared. But you have to kind of calm yourself and take that fear away, because that will jack up your ritual. Or also, don't do it with people who don't have your best interest. So say, you're doing a group ritual, it's you and some friends, or you're telling other people to pray for you who may not really care. Don't do that, because a group ritual, it will always fall down to the lowest denominator. So whoever has that low vibration, that's going to be the basis of your ritual. So that's why I don't like to do a lot of group rituals, unless everybody has the same level of excitement, But everybody's I don't know about you. I'm not telling you. But, that's something else to keep in mind, But, another thing I wanted to talk about briefly, was how much money, or is there such thing as too much money? I don't know if you agree with that, but I was watching thing as too much money. Now, because I was watching 1%, it's a documentary by Jamie Johnson. You seen that? Okay, yeah, he's the Johnson & Johnson heir. Okay, he made...
Yes, I saw that, where he made the documentary about other rich people who were part of the families like him. Yep, I remember that. I saw that, yeah.
Also did, I like him. He also did Born Rich a few years ago. And it was just one scene that stuck out where it was a wealthy heir. I think this gentleman had inherited millions of dollars from his uncle or father or something. But he decided to give all of it to charity or something. So his view on money was very different from the other people that he interviewed. As you saw, they were the sky's the limit. If I could buy the world, I would buy the world and have that a part of my portfolio. They were I'm a billionaire and I want more money. But this guy, he was saying he has friends that are I make $50 million, but I still need more money. I still don't have enough. So that just made me think of, character a little bit in terms of, well, how much is too much? Now, these people know how to sustain it, but it just made me think a little bit about, well, why do they need so much money? Now, is that a problem? Is that a negative thing? I never thought it was, but it just made me think of, it could be sort of an addiction or some type of problem, like people have gambleaholics, a moneyaholic. I don't know. But I just didn't know. Because, we're still learning. I'm still learning about this whole concept of money. And just when I heard that statement, I was like, well, yeah, I think that sounds like a problem,
Hey,
you making $50 million.
I don't think
like,
that
that's not enough.
I don't think that that's a problem. I don't think that there is ever. It is my opinion that is your personal concept. Because for a person like me, if you were to give me, if I were to make $50 million a year, there would be a lot of philanthropy that I would do in my community. So I wouldn't make it to hoard it and just say, oh, see, I just bought this big yacht. So for me, I see it kind of from a different point of view. I think let's just take a guy who's in the neighborhood, right? And his goal is to make $1 million. So, and let's say he starts a lawn care company, and that's what he does. But he stays in one particular community, and his goal is to make $1 million. Now, as he grows his company, he's got to hire people. So he's hiring people who are closest to him, people in the community. So he's invested in the community. The taxes are in the community. So let's say at the end of the day, a couple of years in, he hits $1 million. How many people has he employed in that neighborhood? Maybe 15, maybe 20 people who are feeding their families because this one person decided to make $1 million. That's how I look at it. So I don't come from that point of view where if you, like, it's bad to get it. To me, it's bad to get it and not give back. I'm not saying, like, you make $1, you got to give $1 back. I'm saying, you make $1, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents goes to, back to things that you love and want to see do better. You know what I mean? So, so for me, I think sky's the limit. I think if you can make $1 billion, because I was actually talking to an old guy who grew up in the 60s who owns an accounting firm in Texas. And his goal is to open up the first $1 billion tax operation, the first black $1 billion tax operation, specifically so that he could set aside a couple of trusts for education, so that he could put 100, like they say, like several million a year. I saw the numbers and I was like, wow, I was impressed. But this is a guy who grew up in Mississippi in the civil rights era. So his whole goal is to get as big as he can, as fast as he can, to set up something to give back to the community. So,
I got you.
You know what I mean? So, like, I can, but if he's just like, I'm going to make $1 billion just so, I can ball out, then. And that's what amazes me too. Like when you see musicians and football guys and guys who make just crazy amounts of money a year, and then they buy a $200,000 necklace. That's retarded. That's retarded. You could take the $200,000 and create a scholarship fund. You could create a scholarship fund for the $200,000 that the interest could go back and pay for some kid to go to college with. I mean, we got to be more strategic about the way we use our money. So for me, I'm okay with people making as much money as they can as long as they do the right thing. Now, that's the whole other part. Now, what's considered the right thing? What are they going to do that's the right thing? That's a whole another piece in itself. But I think that, you should be able to make as much as you can.
Absolutely. And let's take one quick break, and we'll come right back to our topic.
Are you stuck? If you're feeling stuck right now in your job, your career, your relationships, let Damon Rawls help you. All his life, Damon has been very successful in business and corporate America, and yet he knows what it's like to feel stuck as well. In fact, one of his specialties is helping people just like yourself free themselves from all the things that are holding them back. You see, over the years, Damon has perfected a neat little trick that he calls Find Your Inner Freak. It's the key to unlocking the secrets of personal success that are already there inside you, waiting to get out. He'll uncover your real strengths and your hidden weaknesses or blind spots. He'll even create a step-by-step, custom-tailored life plan that will enable you to get out of the rut you're in. You owe it to yourself to give this a try. Find Your Inner Freak is proven to help people from all walks of life. And since the cost is so low, you'd be foolish not to give it an honest try. Get started today for the low cost of $47. Contact Damon at 865-271-8021 or Damon at DamonRawls.com. Once again, that's 865-271-8021 or Damon, D-A-M-O-N, at DamonRawls, DamonRawls.com.
So, coming back to our topic, again, that made me think about the other point when you were saying how the guy spent $200,000, on a necklace, and that was an example, but that really happened. I was watching years ago. I was watching something where this show was on athletes and how they use their money and how poorly they manage their money. Where one guy, he went to go get a watch, and the jeweler said, "I've never seen these many diamonds in a watch in my entire life." And his whole career as a jeweler, it was like ridiculous, like that he had to make this watch. And I think that particular athlete, I don't remember his name, he had to have his financial advisor, he was so bad with his money, he couldn't buy anything unless his financial advisor had signed off on it. Because he was like, "You're going to be poor, at the rate that you're going." So every time he made a purchase, he had to call his financial advisor to see if it was okay, which is crazy. It's like living like a slave, but you have all this money. But he had that slave mentality, So again, it keeps going back to the mindset. Again, you got to check out that show on financial currency the chief did, because it speaks about the law of mentalism, and that speaks to how you generate wealth, because it all starts from the mind. So again, a lot of those athletes that they spoke about were broke. Like one guy, he spent so much money. I guess he got his check or whatever before the year was over in his contract. He didn't have enough money to buy his mother a house. So what he did was he renovated her house in the project. Her apartment in the project. And I was like, that's pathetic. How are you now a millionaire and you spent so much money on rims? And not that you can't enjoy your thing. I have no problem with that. You like something, you like nice cars, that's great. But make sure you have your money managed properly where you can take care and afford these things. Not now that you're renovating a space in a project that's not even yours for your mother, at that.
Yeah.
So that's horrible.
I got some friends who played, and I know some guys who, the stories I've actually heard, the real stories about what they do with their money and how they use it, like, it's extremely sad. Like, those guys get a check every week. So even though it's a crazy huge check, they get a check every week, where, we get a couple of thousand, they get double digit couple thousand, $20,000-$30,000 a week, in a paycheck. But these cats would, be broke. Like one friend was telling me there was a dude that there was one guy, he was pretty much the banker. He was pretty much the smart one on the team. Like, he would never spend money, but he would loan money to other guys. And as soon as they got their paycheck, like, dude was collecting, and he said he would collect so much money from people that the other guys would be broke, literally broke. So could you imagine getting $30,000 this week, Friday, tomorrow, and you've blown it all in a week? Like, it's stupidity. It's stupidity,
No, So I'm thinking like, well, 30,000 times 4, that's that much a month. And okay, what can we do with that in 2 months? That's what I'm thinking. Like, I couldn't even imagine being broke after having that coming every week. That's crazy. No.
Yeah, but when you taking care of friends,
that's $120,000 a month.
When you taking care of people and you balling, like, oh goodness, I forgot the player. He played for Texas. Like, this dude was spending $4,000 or $5,000 at Chili's. Dude, it's Chili's. Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Come on.
Slave mentality.
Chili's.
It's that mentality. I'm bad.
Chili's.
I don't even want to hear the rest.
You can't ball at Chili's. Who balls at Chili's?
That's a true story. Yeah. That's ridiculous. You know. So again, that speaks to the whole premise of this show. It's that mindset. So if you need to spend and wow out at Chili's, that's a problem. That's a problem. You can make better food at home for less money. Yeah. You know. But
exactly.
It's coming to the close of our show. And again, thank you guys for tuning in to another segment of Masterminds Monday. And as always, if you have questions, you can submit your questions to us at mastermindsmonday@gmail.com. But I'm learning, I'm doing all this research. And when you talk to holistic doctors, it's like, well, the root may be a damaged liver or a poor diet. That will fix the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But since the doctor is saying, oh, just treat it with glasses, it's very isolated, so there's no connection, and true healing can't occur. And my vision won't be restored unless I do, the liver treatment or something. So that's the same thing with money. I've learned in that if you have an isolated view of money or a fearful view of money, such a negative perception, to me, I feel like you'll never manifest the money or the wealth in your life that you desire just because of that mindset that you have.
Yeah, that's true. You just touched on something I want to jump on real quick. You said the root. When you go to the eye doctor, the eye doctor talks about the root cause of your eye problem is not your eyes. It is, your diet, a liver, or something other than the outward manifestation of the pain that you're feeling, whatever. So if you think about it in the money terms, think about where we get the idea of money from. What is supposed to be spent on money. And it comes from some, if we get to the root cause, it comes from some false place. And what I mean by that, what makes me think about that is you think about when people say, well, she shouldn't charge for healing. Where did that come from? Or if somebody writes a book, oh no, the book should be free. Information should be free. But people don't live free. Where did this idea come from? Where did this ridiculous idea come from? You know what I mean? So, just something that made me think about that.
Yeah, exactly, because I know we were touching on that last time we spoke. And I don't know, I think it's the culture is a big thing, and even zoning in more so into the family structure. I think, our environments, how we grow up or how we perceive things is all different, per family, I would say. But I think that's a major effect on your view of money. But it's a culture thing, I feel like, because when you look at these people who think certain things, they won't spend a lot of money on certain things. Which, like two teachers, you can see how a culture is based on what they spend their money on. So you'll see people that will spend money on things they can't afford, like that same person who won't want to pay for that ritual or those services to get a maid or attract the person that they want to, and it works. But they'll rather go pay $200 for a pair of jeans or bottle service at a club or something like that to attract a mate that way. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the priorities are kind of in the wrong place. It's like they want the stuff if it works, but they rather spend the money on other things that, I guess they still is worth it. But I think it's just a value because essentially when you look at the core of money, it just only has the value that we give it, the physical dollar bill. And I guess it's just people's values are in different places,
Yeah, that's a good point because everybody, I learned this a long time ago. People may say, oh, well, that guy's stingy or that girl is stingy and they don't spend money. Everybody has a weakness or has a thing that they spend money on. You know what I mean? Like yours may be books. So where you'll go and spend $200 on a book, somebody might say, $200 on a book? That's ridiculous. But that book changes your life,
Another segment of Masterminds Monday, where we offer business advice, hands-on meditation exercises, and effective rituals for the proper generation of wealth. I'm your host, Phylecia Tarael-ANU, and we are here with our other host, Damon Rawls.
Welcome.
Peace, everyone. So today we kind of wanted to zone in on, the premise of our show and talk about the spirits of money, which again our title is Owo, the spirit of money. And I was kind of excited about doing the show. I thought it was a good topic because a lot of people seem to think that a relationship between money and spirituality can't exist. And I shared with you, Brother Damon, when I was promoting our last show with Sister Craftswoman, a couple weeks ago. And in a Facebook group, someone commented and they said, money and spirituality, ? So I didn't answer it because I know they didn't listen or watch the video. I just posted it, so I know it was one of those Facebook things. But it was more so of a comment. But it made me just think about how it's very interesting how we tend to think, or how people tend to think about money. While people associated with evil or, it shouldn't be mixed with spiritual matters. I guess this kind of was the mindset that guy who commented, that's what I at least felt that he was saying. I've even had friends that are Christians who, would have difficult times financially, but felt they couldn't ask for stuff like money or in their prayers, or even church, is viewed negatively because they ask for money. Meanwhile, it's a huge temple and they have lights and services, but they think that they shouldn't ask for money. And in my own experience, I see it with Chief, we talked about this, where it's people that'll come for life-saving information. They have terrible relationships with their children or their family. They can't find a mate or whatever, and they come to a priest to get this healing and these effective services, and they feel that it should be free because it's spiritual, Meanwhile, he has a home, car, bills, just like everybody else. But the mindset, I guess, people have is that, it's spiritual, so it should be free. So that's just, again, I feel like it relates to the culture that we live in, where everything is viewed kind of separately or isolated, and not from a holistic perspective, even from money to education to our health. And I've noticed that it has a lot of shortcomings. So, like, for instance, you go to the doctors, like I wear glasses, so my vision is blurry, and they prescribe glasses.